Hello and welcome to our snowmobile podcast. We have a living legend, Mr. Bret Rasmussen, as our guest today. Very nice to have you on.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
First of all, it's very nice to have such a established rider as our guest, and of course, you have a big heart for BRP and Skidoo. So I think we should, before we start branding Sweden, since you've been here over here riding as well. How do you find the Skidoo sleds?
The Skidoo sleds are very nice. They're the best, of course.
So, with that said, I was shocked when I first, this year actually, tested the new 850. I tested both, of course, over here. You might know that we have links,
Yes,
which is,
I've ridden links over there.
yeah, and also, of course, we also have Skidoo. So, what can you say about the new F50, sort of 850 motor from other Skidoo engines and sleds you've ridden before?
Compared to the 800 engine that we had a couple of years ago, it's much stronger, more than just top end power. It has really quick throttle response, outstanding throttle response, very rippy. It likes to take off. You have to hang on hard and keep a good grip.
Yeah, it's a thrilling experience, and I remember that everybody was there. It was Yamaha, it was Arctic Cat, it was Polaris, Lynx, and Skidoo, and I fell in love with the Lynx and the Skidoo the most, not only because of the 850 motor, but also it's a big chassis change. The position, almost standing more or less on or ahead of the sort of shaft of the drivetrain itself when it comes to the where the power is converted down to the belt in comparison to its rivals. It's just a game changer in the way it feels, and it's a very, very pleasant sled to ride.
Yep, especially when you get in deep mountain snow.
I haven't had that, as I told I talked with you earlier. I haven't been that spoiled that I've been able to do that yet, but I'm looking forward to do that. I'm working with a Swedish dealer called Nila Fritid, uh,
Yes.
which of course they are selling both Lynx and Skidoo. So it's gonna be, hopefully I can sort of get a deal with them, so I really can put this sled through its paces. So before we get into you and your rich riding history, when it comes to the chassis itself, if we sort of move away from specifically the motor, what can you say has progressed the most from previous models?
The chassis is lighter and stronger, and it's more nimble. It responds quicker to rider input. It moves quite easily. Great chassis.
Yeah. And that's great to hear, because that's something that I actually notice as well. Because I ride now a 14 Lynx, but there's of course similarities of it, although Skido is more of the North American and Canadian market, etc. What I can sort of say from riding the Skidoo specifically in Tavel Show, where the test was, is the rigidness of the chassis, and of how that integrates with the new 850 powertrain, which is absolutely fantastic. The whole product, when it comes together, is in some kind of symbiosis with one another, which I really, really like.
Yeah.
When it comes to yourself as a rider, what can you say about how it began for you? You've been riding for so many years, but what was it with snowmobiling and sort of being out in the bush and all that sort of caught your attention and the love for you?
Uh, you know, I've been snowmobiling since I was 10 years old, and I I've watched the sport of snowmobiling evolve over the years. Of course, the sleds evolve, but it's the freedom. It's the feeling that you get when you're out on the mountain in nature, and it's just a great feeling. There's no rules. You can go anywhere. You can do anything.
Yeah. And sort of, can you name the area where you're riding? What's your preferable choice?
Well, today I'm in West Yellowstone, Montana. I ride all over the country and all over the world. So I don't know that I have a favorite place, but what I can say is that if there's good snow, it doesn't matter where you are. It's going to be a great day. If it snowed yesterday, let's go riding.
I like that attitude. Maybe it's you that sort of brought that snow to Sweden this year. It's just amazing to finally have like proper level of snow because you and Barant and Kincaid and all these, you're really lucky in that respect. So it's very nice to really been able to have this deep powder and been able to sort of use the snowmobile in a way we haven't been able to do because it's been raining too much. So that's very,
Hmm.
very nice. This is a question that I usually get when it comes to snowmobile riders and you, of course, deep snow riders. You've ridden in Riksgränsen and Saxnäs, if I'm not mistaken. And is there what difference in riding do you see from maybe the Scandinavian or Nordic countries to the way you guys ride over there?
The big noticeable difference is the air, the elevation. So you have a lot better air quality there. I never get tired when I'm in Scandinavian countries. Never run out of air. I can go and go and go. But also the snow is different. Our our snow is dry mountain powder, and it keeps for weeks at a time because our weather's much colder and drier. Um, and you've commented that you've got some good powder snow, and I've been there in some good powder snow. A year ago, I was in Norway. We did a clinic in near the city of Alta, Norway, and it was phenomenal. The snow was amazing there, but it had high water content. It was really dense, and it didn't stay powder for very long. So.
Hmm. Yeah, and I've heard that a lot of times. The difference between the Nordics and the North America. But it's always nice to sort of get explanation on how the individual riders sort of see on the situation or maybe how they would describe the feeling and the differences. So it's very interesting to hear because we have a lot of water. It's just like very watery snow mostly, and it's
Yeah,
heavier. And
that's
once you
right.
hit, when you hit sort of the deep powder, it usually fills the track and the boogie a lot. Whereas I've understood it sort of doesn't do it in the same way over there. So definitely difference in the snow itself.
I might add that the same place that I was a year ago in near Alta, Norway, we're conducting a writing class there today, and I'm absent, but I have Willie Rayala that is conducting that for me, and he's got some great students, and they're having a great time because the snow is awesome there.
Yeah, and also, if I'm not mistaken, you also have ride Bret Rasmussen or ride Rasmussen style or something. I do remember that from way back. I don't want you to make you feel old though. I'm 24, so but I do remember that, and I have that. As I told you, I have that video of you, riding maybe another brand at that time. But that's where I first sort of noticed you. And can you tell me about what that means and what you get to experience?
Ride Rasmussen Style is the name of my company, and we have created a ride technique over the course of maybe a 30-year span that has become a world standard. And of course, everybody follows everyone has an aspiration to use the technique that I teach. And what we do is we help people refine that technique and help them to use proper form and to exert less energy when they're out riding so that they can have fun all day long instead of wearing themselves out early on in the day. But it's a technique that it evolved over the years, and to some degree, it evolved with the evolution of snowmobiles, and I'm talking specifically mountain snowmobiles. Um, we ride in the backcountry in highly technical terrain, and using this technique, we have the ability to maintain control of the sled and drive at will, uphill, downhill, traversing slopes, all around. It just gives one a great feeling of freedom.
Hmm. And let's sort of talk a little bit about the technique. Yeah, let's first start with myself. Definitely want to refine my own riding style, and I feel sometimes that when I'm out riding that I get some kind of cramps in my in my hand or something that sort of gets a little bit stuck like this. Is it
Yep.
usually to a lack of hydration or what would you say?
Yeah, it could likely be hydration or just not good conditioning, and maybe it's from staying in the bar too late at night. You think?
I'm gonna be
Uh,
honest with you. That specific time, no. But on the
oh, okay.
all right, That's what I like about this person. I like you, man. I can feel I can be honest with you. Uh,
Okay.
no, but I've always thought about that because that's what I've had. I ride for a long time, and then I feel just sort of up here. It's sort of crampy and sort of got sort of cramped the hand, and becomes distracting.
I think you're hanging on to the handlebars too hard. You need to relax. Ride it like a rocking chair, not a bucking horse.
No, but that's what I
Uh,
mean, and that's why you know a lot of things, and that's sort of something that I maybe need to progress then because you want to be able to ride for a long period of time without sort of over using energy and etc. So that's great to hear. Also, when it comes to sort of going through trees, when it starts to lean and you sort of have to use you counterweight and towards the other side of the sled and maneuver through you know difficult terrain. Do you have any riding tips to the people watching and listening to this interview?
I have a lot of writing tips, but the most important one is one that none of us can forget. The reason we ride snowmobiles is to have fun. And if you're not having fun on a snowmobile, then you're failing. But of course, if you can improve your technique to go faster and to ride higher on the mountain and to go in deeper snow, then you're going to have more fun, right? And it becomes a challenge, and that's what it's all about is accepting the challenge and becoming a better rider. And there's a lot of ways to improve ride technique from really basic form to more advanced riders, just teaching them to look forward and choose a line through the trees, and don't stare at the trees, because guess what, the tree's going to eat you. You pretend like the tree's not there and just focus on the line that takes you through the trees, and you'll win every time.
Hmm. That's great. And also when it comes to when it starts sort of being very, when it sort of has you have a lot of angle, so you have to sort of use the other side, and it's a lot about timing there, so you don't sort of tipple over because that's something where you don't ride as much as I maybe would like. You sort of don't progress those skills as much as you want. And of course, it's sort of not luckily, BRP has the great rubber, the rubber detail on the handlebar, which is great to keep a hold on.
So I hate to disappoint you, but we remove those from our mountain sleds because they're in the way, and the thing of it is, it's all about sled balance. So if you're on the balance point of the sled, and if you can maintain that balance point, you can go anywhere you want. The thing that happens when you use that rubber grab handle is you have to let go of one of the handlebar grips, right? And as soon as you give up a handlebar grip, you lose control of the steering. And the steering is the balance mechanism that keeps you on your edge. And this is the technique that we teach. We focus on that. And when students learn how to control the sled using balance, you don't have to let go of the steering, the handlebar grips, and there's no use for that rubber. What did you call it? That rubber thingy? I call it. I like to call it a sissy bar.
I take that, man. I feel like a rookie, but I am at the end of the day. So
So, David, you need to come to North America and ride with me, and we'll teach you how to go up and down a mountain
yeah,
on a
man.
skidoo.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna be honest in this interview. I'm working with Nila Fritid, or basically, that company in Marlow that sort of sell the BRP products, and hopefully we can sort of strike a ambassador deal, basically, so I can sort of get more time with the new fresh 850 and
Hmm.
progress my skills in a way where I can feel comfortable and take on the challenges that I want to take. I also maybe
Hmm.
have the opportunity to ride with you, because I've talked to Barant, I talked to Rob Kincaid, and all these, and they're great riders. But and then you
Okay.
might as well call the best for advice. That's basically my point.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
like that.
we're here.
Yeah, but what is the, I love Brett, sort of the ride Rasmussen style. I've watched a lot of the videos, but what is this sort of, how do you progress? Do you have any certain stage per day that you sort of start off with? You start off with this, and maybe the other day you sort of keep subsequently progressing the style, or how do you work to progress your students?
Yeah, so we start with basic technique, instruction. It doesn't really matter who you are, how good of a rider you think you are. Everyone needs to go through the basic technique instruction because we all develop bad habits over time, and as soon as we can address the bad habits that a rider might have, then we can advance into a little more technical terrain. And our goal is to challenge riders. So whatever your skill level is, we will take you into the terrain that will challenge you, and it's the challenge that improves your rider skill, right?
Yeah, definitely, because I always look at progression as a flight of stairs. You start at the bottom, and at the end of the day, your goal is to be at the top. And but there's a certain amount of stairs you have to sort of pause before you get to the top, basically.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's how it is. Looking forward now, to 2018. We're only roughly almost 4 months in. We're still in March as we speak. What's the goal or ambitions for the year looking at the moment?
Well, so we're conducting clinics here in West Yellowstone through the end of the month. And we've got clients coming here from Russia and also from Greece next week, and as well as some domestic clients. But we're looking forward to having them on the mountain with us and teaching them what we can. But our season will be ending. The snow sticks around, but the spring snow is difficult to teach in. So we don't go past the 1st of April. But we're looking forward to next winter and getting back in the groove and helping people all over the world with their ride technique.
So it sounds like you keep working hard to sort of just progress your students and progress the company itself, and I think it's a great thing that you're doing, because it really helps people progress in their ambition to become better. So I always have to ask you this one: how much input do you have when it comes to developing the sleds, and what has Skidoo meant and done for you?
So I don't have a lot of input with engineering. I'm mostly tasked with marketing programs with Skidoo. I'm an ambassador to them, and they're a great sponsor. They build great snowmobiles, uh, and it's all about that Skidoo feeling. Have you ever had that Skidoo feeling?
No, oh man, okay. Let's say yes.
Okay.
Well, since I'm riding BRP, so I've been looking into Yeah, I have been looking into sort of maybe going towards Ambassador, Polaris, or Arctic Cat, or BRP. So now, since you're a BRP rider and I do own a Lynx, I'm gonna say I don't own a Skido, since we're in Scandinavia, so the Lynx is a little bit bigger. But you have still have the chance to persuade me into the Skidoo riding feeling.
Hmm. Yes, that skidoo feeling. Yeah, so
So tell me, what is the
it's all
Skidoo
about
feeling?
having. Say that again.
So what is the Skidoo feeling? Tell me.
It's that feeling that you get when you climb to the top of the highest peak. It's that feeling you get when you've conquered the slope. When you drop a 100-foot cliff, it's that feeling that you can't get anywhere else.
Wow. That's words from a real ambassador. And also that sort of skidoo smile. Is that the skidoo smile?
Yeah, of course it is.
That's absolutely fantastic. So how is it to be on the road like this? You know, when it comes to traveling, etc. What is the most sort of giving thing from you being around the world and the country of America, etc.
I've kind of come accustomed to traveling in the winter months. It's just part of my job. I have a number of instructors who work under me, and they take care of the business at home when I'm away. I also have a Russian speaking instructor who travels with me when I go to Russia. Nate Smoot, great guy, and the Russians really love him. Um, I enjoy getting out and seeing other areas to ride in. I love coming to the Scandinavian countries and meeting people, and I've ridden many places in Sweden and Norway, and also in Finland and Russia and Iceland and Greenland and all over North America. It's great to go there and just hang out with the people as opposed to being a tourist. I think it's a great opportunity, and I've gained great relationships with people all over the world. So.
Yeah, and I can imagine that's something that gives you a lot, you know, when it comes to sort of social interaction and, of course, spreading the word of the brand of Skidoo, your brand of Ride Rasmussen Style, and, of course, in general, sort of being sort of interacting with different people from different places and you know, just talk and share the experience of something that you and other people just simply love a lot.
Mhm.
And I think that's very interesting because I was a very long time I was truly inspired by somebody I talked to, and I've been talking to Mario Andretti, etc. But I think you have just in general a true passion for what you really do, and that really is something that inspires me. And it's also nice to talk to somebody that doesn't sort of chop my head off about my lack of skills when it comes to the snow, because I do sort of admit that, but it's nice that you're being humble about it and that you sort of want to help people to progress, because that's really my ambition, and I will, you know, want to do the things that I can do to become a better rider. So that's really good because I love the feeling. I love the freedom of being outdoors and the smell of two-stroke. You know, I do like Yamaha, but two-stroke for me is a little bit better still.
That's right. I have to agree with you.
Wasn't there some movie called Two Stroke Cold Smoke back in the day? Something.
Yeah, that's an old movie. You've picked up on some of those old videos, haven't you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, over here we of course have Sled Necks, Rough Riders, and cold two stroke cold smoke. Sorry, man, it's hard to say. Your own videos. I don't know if you. I don't think you make that many DVDs anymore, but I think you make other movies.
Yeah, so we did a whole series of school DVDs, and they've been very popular. people from all over the world have bought them and learned a lot of ride technique from riding them, and they've been out of production for a few years, but we are filming currently for a new video series. It's going to be called Back to School, and um, they'll be YouTube linked videos, and they'll be available at no charge. So we should be putting the first ones up here in the next few weeks, and you can view those on my YouTube channel, Rasmussen Style YouTube channel, and I think that there's going to be a lot of people excited about these, because I get questions all the time about more instructional videos, and here we go. We're almost ready to release some. So
that sounds very exciting, and I really look forward to watching that. Something that we haven't really gotten into really a lot about is how you experience the riding in Sweden. You know, talk about the snow, but how you feel. You know, you have British Columbia, you have Colorado, you have a lot of places, you know, Minnesota. But how do you compare Sweden's nature, not only sort of the, you know, what we talked about earlier, but the sort of the feeling of and the nature of Sweden riding wise?
Of course, Sweden. The places that I've been in Sweden is much further north than where I typically ride in North America, and the sun doesn't come out very long there. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
So the days are really short in wintertime, and the best time I've found to ride in Sweden, of course, is this time of the year, because the days are much longer, and there's great terrain there. It's just not as big as it is in North America. The mountains aren't as big. The snow isn't the powder's not as deep typically. But there are challenges. There are terrain features that challenge riders, and you can just go have fun, play in the drainages and in the tree lines and the little hills and valleys, and you know, that's what it's all about, you know, is having fun and enjoying it, and that's what we do as snowmobilers.
Yeah, that sounds great, and it's great to have you here.
There's also reindeer there.
You see that, you know, that is a plus point for you right there. That's a great
Yeah.
observation. It's very true. It's very true. There's also a lot of other animals, but yeah, there's a lot of them, that's for sure. And you know, our native people called you know, Lappar, they also usually use actually skidoo, preferably. Yeah, so that's good. So you see, you have a very wide range of people that you can sort of get your voice out to at this very moment. So that's good. Riding skidoo, you know, you have, what is it, 63% of the sales or something like that, I think.
Yeah, something like that. I haven't been informed of the recent numbers, but I know it's over 50% for sure. So that's a pretty good statistic.
Yeah. So, but as we touched on this already, but it's just an overall great product. When it comes to a product, buying and straight out of the dealer or straight from the box or whatever you want to say, is just one of the absolute best products I feel that you can buy from BRP in general, really. You know, I've ridden Sea-Doos, I've ridden Can-Am, and they're all great, don't get me wrong, but it's just something about Skidoo, the Rotax engine is just spot on.
Mm-hmm. And it's durable, very durable.
Very durable. You know, that's why you use it in go-karts, even Rotax engines, etc. So, but can I be a little bit annoying with you now? I'm going to be...
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Have BRP fixed the belt problems?
You know, that's an interesting question. So I know that there's been some isolated belt issues in various parts of the world. The truth is, I have not had any issues with any of my sleds. I've got a fleet of 12 850s, and they've all got some pretty good use on them. My personal sled's got over 1,000 miles on it. Some of my instructor sleds have got 1,000 miles. In fact, we were looking at Aaron's sled just the other day, and he has 1,100 miles on it on the original belt. And I don't know what that is in kilometers, but it's maybe 1,500 or something like that. We're not experiencing these issues. I know that BRP is aware of them. I know that they have made some changes to for production for next year to alleviate some of these issues. But it's certainly not a widespread problem. And I certainly feel bad for anybody that's having issues. Maybe it's isolated to their particular snowmobile for whatever reason, I don't know. But BRP builds really good, high quality product, and they strive to make better product every day. And when they have issues such as you're suggesting, then of course they're not ignoring it. They're going to work with their engineering staff to make a better product, and hopefully in the end, why everybody's happy, right?
Yeah, that's good. And I do agree. I've heard a lot about them, but I haven't seen a terrible epidemic of belt issues. So that's good. But one thing that I really like about BRP, I'm not saying that the other brands aren't doing it, but it feels like BRP is one of the fastest brands to react to any customer related complaints or issues. So if there is any issue that sort of a buyer feels that they have experienced, or maybe one or two, I feel that the company itself really reacts quickly to address those things, rather than saying, that it's your riding, it's the way you calibrate the clutches or whatever it is. It's sort of you really say, all right, we hear what you say, and they sort of react to it. And as you say, they are already doing it. So that's something that's says a lot about these products. That they are very, very rigid, and they're really, it's very, very high quality. And I actually think it's mostly. I actually went into a company here in Umeå where I live, and they said that mostly Lynx are experiencing these belt issues, because I think they calibrated the clutches are a bit different, really, from Skidoo, so they have had a little bit more of these failures. But that, as you said, there should be addressed for 19 onwards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good. Brett, I would just like you to do two more things. Number one is to just stay a short while after this interview, and I want to thank you very much for your time. It's meant a lot, and you've given me and a lot of people a lot of great advice. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome.